Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the Trimester 2 final assessment. So first, I'm going to read through the instructions. You can follow along. It says, read the instructions for each part below to complete your final assessment for Trimester 2. Your grade will be out of 50 points for knowledge and thinking. Start at the beginning knowledge section, that's part 1, first and complete all questions. If you do not understand, watch the videos attached either with headphones or subtitles. You do not have to watch each video, just if you need help. The final assessment is worth 50 points for knowledge and thinking. After each section, you need to submit your answers on a Google form linked at the bottom of that section. So I will show you what that means now. So part 1 is the beginning knowledge section. There are 29 questions in part 1. Anything that we've covered so far, algebra tiles, and some fraction stuff and simplifying expressions are all in part 1. You'll notice there are videos linked underneath that talk about how to do a problem that's similar to the one you'll see. So you can go through those. And then you'll get to some fraction problems. Make sure to rewatch the videos to remind you how to do that. Because it's been a few weeks since we've covered that. Multiplying fractions, dividing fractions. Some order of operations problems. So make sure you look at those. In these two problems here, since there's an X in the middle, the X there means multiplication, not a variable. So just make sure that you don't look at these X's and think that it's a variable. The rest of the ones above are, though. And then you'll go through all the problems here and get down to the bottom of part 1. Here at the bottom in red, you'll notice something new. So this is where I have linked in 3 Google Forms, and this is where you'll check your answers for part 1. And so the first attempt is after you've gone through once and done the problems from there. You'll go ahead and click on attempt 1, and then you'll fill out the information. And you'll notice that the first question matches the question that's first here. See? So you'll just go through and it goes from this question, then to this question. It goes across and then down. So across, then down, across, then down. Okay? So you'll go through and you put all your answers in for part 1, all 29 questions, and you'll submit your score. It saves all your answers, by the way, in case you don't finish it. You'll be able to open it up and enter them in. And then once you've clicked submit, in the center there will be a thing that says view your score. I can't show that to you right now. But if you view your score, it will tell you what your score is. And if you're happy with your score, meaning you only missed like a few, like 27 out of 29, you can just put your score in, what you got, and move on. If you missed more than a few, like 2 or 3, you can go ahead and make corrections on just those problems by comparing the ones you got wrong. So this is set to mark the ones you got wrong in red, and those are the only ones you need to make corrections on. And then after you make corrections, you can do attempt number 2. And I've even linked one more third chance last attempt with the same questions to be able to improve your score to get 29 out of 29 for that section. However, that's only one part of the assessment, so that's only the first part. So technically your score would be 29 out of 50 at this point if you got full credit, which still isn't a C yet. Part 2 is formatted the same way. It is surface knowledge. So you'll go through, complete all the questions, and then for this, you'll make it 2 attempts, but it's set up the same way. You'll click the form, and there are 10 questions in part 2. You'll go through and submit. And then if you miss some, you can make corrections and do one last chance. And then you'd put your score here. So let's say you got 29 for the first section, and then you get all 10, you'd have a 39 so far. But you can just put your score out of 10 here. And then part 3 and 4 is where things get a little bit different. So these are going to have some short answer parts to them. And they're going to have parts where you have to show your work, answer long questions. So it's going to be a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and read through the instructions for part 3 and 4. It says, please read carefully. There are going to be some short answer questions. You will be submitting these answers by copying and pasting them into the Google form at the bottom of each section. I will be able to see if there are any repeat answers between students in all classes. If students copied others' work and submitted it as their own, this is cheating. You must have your own wording for each problem below. If you use the same answers as another student, you will receive a score of 0, and the other student will as well. So part 3 has 5 questions, and then you click the form when you are done only. So after you've completed part 3 completely and you make sure you really double check your answers, then you'll click the form and you'll go through and you will submit, copy and paste just by copying and pasting. So if you had like a long answer for this first one, like whatever it is, like really long, okay, that looks horrible. But you'll get the idea. You'll copy and paste it into the box. If it doesn't copy and paste perfectly, I'll double check that it makes sense by looking at your actual assessment. So part 3, you can go through and read those. You'll notice that in part 3 and part 4, there are some slides that are attached to Google Slideshows. Those will help you as well. So make sure you take a look at those. And then part 4 is the transfer knowledge section. Again, there are, I think, 6 questions here. And at the bottom, when you're fully done with them, you'll submit your answers on a form that's labeled part 4. And it has the questions in the exact order, copying and pasting. So this is how I set it up. A couple of things I want to note is that if you're going to submit anything in part 3 and 4 and you would like to get feedback, you need to email me first with the question. So what you'll do is you'll copy, like let's say this is the question. You don't know like if this is right. Let's say you have some answer here and you want to check that that makes sense. You're going to copy the entire thing